Agriculture was the origin of civilization. Since its early inception, agriculture has been central to the division of labour and the development of our cities. However, as new technologies emerged and agriculture became increasingly efficient, less people became directly involved in the production side of the food supply chain system. With processes of urbanisation, people are moving away from farmland and towards cities, where food production has historically not occurred. Farming is now something that many people have lost connection with. It is estimated that by 2050, more than 2/3 of the world population will live in cities. East Africa is no exception to this phenomenon, and it is the fastest urbanising sub-region in Africa. This rapid influx of people into cities has presented several challenges to city planners: economic disparity, sanitation and public health, environmental degradation, and the supply of food are all in need of constant evaluation. Kenya will reach a spatial tipping point, as half of the population will be living in urban areas by 2033. Moreover, recent World Bank estimates suggest that the urban poor will soon constitute 50% of Kenya's poor. Our cities are changing rapidly, and the ways in which we feed them will need to change as well.
East Africa has been estimated to be one of the fastest growing urban regions in Africa. A recent study in 2011 done by a local university shows that 44% of Nairobi citizens were undernourished. Also, 20% were consuming way less nutrition than they should be.
In recent years, there has been a 150% increase in staple food prices in Nairobi's informal markets. This has given rise to food deserts within the city, leaving many slum dwellers undernourished and food insecure. The food at many informal markets in Nairobi passes through a long and inefficient supply chain system.
The East African Institute at the Aga Khan University is a regional-based think tank that actually looks at evidence-based and a bit more policy-oriented research that actually addresses some of the development challenges that are taking place in the region. At the beginning of 2014, we started looking at a sustainable urban food systems project. And the first thing we did was to actually do a market survey and look at the 18 wet markets in Nairobi. But what was coming out was that the food procurement system for the city is actually very, very fragile. And the food miles that actually the food travels to get to the city population are actually huge. For instance, we found that some things like tomatoes and fresh fruits and vegetables come from very far areas, as far as Namanga and Loitoktok. And when they come to the city, then you'll find that if something happens along the way and that chain is broken, then the city suffers.
While food security within our cities is a critical issue, if engaged properly, it is also a platform from which we can address a plurality of issues associated with rapid urbanisation and increase economic opportunity, improve population health, and build environmentally sustainable cities. How can growing East African cities like Nairobi begin to change current food systems in ways that address these challenges? One way is the promotion and integration of agriculture into urban settings.
Urban agriculture is becoming a globally relevant phenomenon. We're seeing it happen all over the world. Urban agriculture closes the gap between people and their food, empowering individuals as actors within their own food systems, rather than them just being a consumer in a highly commodified food culture. There's great potential for Nairobi to become a global icon in food system sustainability.
Kiroko Enterprises, a farm in Nairobi's Makadara constituency, exemplifies how urban farming can be for-profit enterprise. The farm is changing perceptions of the role agriculture should be playing within Nairobi County and the ways urban agriculture can contribute to socially, economically and environmentally responsible development.
I came here in 2002. That's when I started this project in a very small way, like a hobby, growing some vegetables like spinach, kales and all the rest. Our main project here is rabbit keeping. That's because I'm called rabbit, that's my main project. Why are we telling people to keep rabbit? They use a very, very small space. They also grow very fast. The rabbit will grow very fast. They have the nutrition value that you need. Then one of the media houses in Kenya, Nation TV, highlighted this project. After that, people started calling me, they want to keep the rabbit. So I saw an opportunity, and I had never left that opportunity up to now.
Kiroko Enterprises challenges the normative notion that agriculture is solely a rural activity. While city planners and neighbours alike have resisted the changing dynamic of urban food systems on a global scale, there is growing support for urban agriculture in the Nairobi County.
Urban farming in Nairobi has experienced many challenges, especially in the past, where the local authorities would use nuisance and public health bylaws to prohibit the activity within the city. But with the effection of the Urban Agriculture Promotion and Regulation Bill of 2015, that basically seeks to promote and regulate these activities within the city, farmers now have a legal platform as to which they can practice the activities, and they won't have to be prohibited from doing them. So this new bill, together with other laws, they create a hope for Francis and other farmers within the city to practice their activities with no disturbance as to laws and regulations from the local authorities.
We had a lot of resistance from the community around, because people here in Kenya believed that if you want to do farming, you have to go to the rural area. Farming should not be done in the city. And the city council of Nairobi had some bylaws which said you cannot grow any vegetable, you cannot keep animals. I started struggling with the people who are very much against this project, but I continued. And I said, one day I will sell the rabbit in the supermarket, I will sell rabbit in the hotels, and that has happened today.
The new Nairobi City County Urban Agricultural Promotion and Regulation Bill seeks to integrate urban agricultural land use strategies into county planning, while also providing increased extension services and regulating environmental and epidemiological impacts. Most of all, the bill's framework provides hope for Kiroko Enterprises as well as current and future farms within the county.
We deal with farmers who are growing crops in an urban setting, urban farming. We deal with the agribusiness, value addition. We also contact groups or help to form groups, men groups, youth groups, women groups, and try to teach them skills on how they can actually generate some income from farming. The ministry offers a forum where farmers like Mr. Wachira can network, meet with other farmers and network. We have field days and exhibitions in the wards. Recently we had one right here at his farm, and other farmers come, other stakeholders come, exhibit their wares, what they are doing, and that is a right and a good forum for him to run. Not only him, but all other farmers. We also have the trade fair, the Nairobi International Trade Fair. Some of them are given a chance to exhibit their products, and that is also a very good forum for them to run and get skills.
The promotion and integration of agriculture in the city of Nairobi comes with its own set of challenges that need to be understood and managed. With inadequate infrastructure to support water, sanitation and waste disposal systems, growing food in certain spaces can pose risks to the people who consume it. Urban agriculture also faces underlying safety concerns of bacterial and toxic contamination of both the soil and produce grown in spaces where urban and industrial waste is not properly managed. However, innovative farming techniques and best practices in urban agriculture can mitigate the epidemiological risks, making the production of food in urban spaces healthy and safe. Despite the level of technical engineering and innovation required in the profession, the majority of youth consider farming work to be for those who have not gone to school. A survey released by the East African Institute revealed that only 11% of youth in Kenya would consider farming as a future career. This represents a need to demonstrate the changing face of agriculture in Kenya, the new and emerging local markets, and the possibility to introduce technological and management innovations.
I'm 26 years old, a graduate from Kenyatta University with a Bachelor of Education Arts. Currently not practicing teaching. I'm doing farming at Kiroko Urban Farm. I'm a son to Mr. Wachira, who is the brain behind Kiroko Urban Farm. Everybody in our family, I think, now has spotted such that if you're not able to do this digging, you can go and deliver the rabbits. So for me as a young person, and I think that's what I would also maybe encourage also young people outside there, it's maybe to try and change their mindset. Because for me, I've gone to school, I've gone to university, but I'm not teaching, I'm not doing what, you see. So meaning that what I have here can be able to provide, can be able to sustain.
Government is faced with conflicting loyalties between building development and reserving land for agricultural purposes. While building development has great monetary value, it is difficult to see the same value of urban agriculture given its current stage in development. Thus, a lot of urban agricultural sites, many of which are informally settled, are earmarked for development. However, it is important to contextualise urban agricultural practices in Nairobi with the global movement, showing the scales at which Nairobi farmers are currently operating while providing insight and optimism for growth in the future.
As a global example, Soul Food Farms from Vancouver, Canada, have 4 urban farming locations throughout the city, all of which are located in densely populated areas. As an urban farm, their mission is simple: to empower individuals with limited resources by providing them jobs, agriculture training, as well as inclusion within a supportive community. They also employ best practices in urban agriculture to mitigate some of the epidemiological risks that can be associated with growing food in an urban setting. As an example of this, they, in many of their locations, try to isolate the growing medium by using gardening boxes, much like Francis does. By doing this, not only do they mitigate the risks of growing food in potentially contaminated soils, but they also have gardens that are portable and easily uprooted and able to move locations, which is something to consider within the context of Nairobi.
They are attempting to develop a food culture within the city where small farms thrive in every neighbourhood and where nutritious food is accessible to all people, regardless of socio-economic status. Entrepreneurs like Francis provide a foundation from which Nairobi's food system can begin to develop profitably and sustainably. One way Francis tries to maximise the profits of his enterprise is by farming dairy goats instead of the traditional dairy cows. He finds this strategy more profitable as dairy goats better utilise the limited space available in urban settings. There are also noteworthy health benefits as goat milk is very nutritious. In a world with rapid urbanisation, rising food prices and an urgent need for climate and environmental action, urban agriculture is an essential platform from which to address all of it. Local governments can reserve public spaces and slum sites as agricultural land for the promotion of health and improved food security. Simultaneously, families who engage in urban agricultural enterprise within these regulated spaces can obtain a low-cost, clean and safe sustainable food supply that promotes savings, employment and, with good agricultural practices, income generation.
My prayer to other people, because this is a viable project, urban farming is a viable project, my prayer is that in the future, every home should have a rabbit, should have chicken, should have guinea pig, and should have probably a dairy goat in their farm. And they can also tilt their land and start growing local vegetables we are growing here at all the mint. So yeah, that's the right.